Good afternoon, friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. I hope you are doing well today. We are going to get started on leveling out this crazy bed in front of our house where we had to pull out all the azaleas and camellias. You can see Mike took out all the root balls. That was a lot of work. I've got flats of plants everywhere that we're going to put in here. He's going to work later today on these two big stumps if he has some time. We're both kind of strapped for this holiday weekend because we are having friends over for a barbecue on Sunday. So we are trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done between now and then. Mostly, in addition to cleaning the house and smoking stuff for the barbecue, we would really like this not to look like a complete disaster when we have friends come over. So I'm going to get a rake, and it's just basic work. I'm just trying to level the ground here from where we took out all the root balls and get a good idea of like where the soil level is. Do we need to add anything? We've done the math on what kind of, well, how much stone we need, and that's not going to get here in the next 2 days, and that's fine. I still would like to at least plant, get all the ground leveled, maybe add a nice layer of compost on top, and then plant. I really would like to do that. But before I start that, I need to figure out what's going on with this. Well, I know what's going on. We have a broken pipe. I just need to get the dimensions and stuff so that I can go get all the pieces, parts that I need and fix that, because that is the irrigation for this bed. The other thing we need to do, hopefully today, is to power wash the walls. They are very discolored from the plants that were here. And, you know, we had a massive home renovation last year, and we never cleaned out the outside of the house since then. So we would like to do that because all of this is going to be visible. And, you know, we've got some chips in the blue, unfortunately. But yeah, there was a lot of dirt, just looks crappy. So a lot of cosmetic stuff to be done, but I would love to be able to plant today or tomorrow. That is my goal. So first I'm going to uncover what's here in this hole for the irrigation, just see what I need to get, and then start raking and see if we can level this ground. Okay, I don't think this is going to be that hard. Well, the soil is hard. All right, I need to go get a hand trowel. This is way harder soil than I anticipated. And I need to dig down so that I can get into this pipe. Okie dokie. So I had to really dig down pretty far to be able to saw off that elbow. So now I have the elbow. I'm going to take it to the store, to the hardware store, grab exactly what I need, come back here and clean this off a little bit, and then cement a new elbow on. And then I also have to get parts to reattach this. This is the pressure regulator, this 30 PSI. Crucial if you don't want to blow out all your lines. So this I just need to, I'll probably, I don't know, I think I can clean that off and attach that to the other end of the elbow. But then I just need to cut out this hose and add new, and that's what will go down the line this way and run throughout the bed. And then we can run lines off of it to irrigate each plant that goes in. So this is not a bad repair, but one thing I do need to do, you can probably see that is full of soil and stuff. And that's just because, you know, it got packed in when we were excavating. So I'm going to turn on the irrigation for this zone real quick to blow that out of there, then go get my parts and make my fix. Then I can start working on leveling all this ground. Okay, so I need to do that again because when it fountained up, it didn't drain fast and soil went down the pipe. So now I've got a bucket around it so that it will capture the water, and hopefully I can turn it off real quick so that it blows the stuff out but doesn't sink back in. Yay, that worked perfect. All right, heading to the hardware store. We'll be back. I'm gonna have to put this together with cement and everything, PVC cement, and it won't be ready to test until tomorrow. They say 1 hour, 2 hours, but I think it's better just let it go overnight so that you don't risk any leaks, especially because this will be underground. All right, let me go grab our parts and we'll be right back. Okay, back. I've been back for a while. I had other stuff to do. I got a few extra parts just in case. So this was pretty low below the soil line, and what I'm concerned about is, first of all, I had to cut off, like an inch in order to disconnect the broken part from the standpipe that came up. So we're already shorter by, it's actually almost 2 inches. And since this long part has to come out, let's put the bucket here. From here, I really don't want that jammed under the soil, mostly because if you get a leak, it's a lot harder to deal with if it's buried. I would rather have it kind of right on the surface where I can cover it up with some rocks and be able to access it easier. So I brought extra parts. Nothing crazy, just an extension coupler here so that I can make this taller, and then put something here, and then just cut it here and put the elbow. So I'm just adding a couple of inches. It's nothing major, but I think I'll be happier with that in the long run because it will be way easier to fix if we have another leak or a break. First thing I'm going to do is put this guy on. Now I'm going to use cement, really push this down here. Then I'm going to have to cut, well, now that's dirty. Then I'm going to have to cut a piece of this other pipe and get that on the other end. So it'll be multiple part process here. I'm just using some PVC cement here. This can is very hard to open, so I may need a tool for that. Okay, done. So we added a coupler here, a little bit, about 4 inches of pipe, the elbow, put it back together with this guy, and we've got the pressure regulator here. Now I'll go to the farm tomorrow and I'll get the tubing. I'll pull this part off, put the new tube in, and then we can just run it down the whole bed for irrigation. So next, I'm just going to spend some time with the rake, see how level I can get this. Okay, it is the next day. I had a bunch of chores to do this morning. So unfortunately right now the sun is in a weird position. The bed itself is shaded, but everywhere I need to stand is in bright sun. So I don't know, bear with me with the camera. What I want to do now is go over all the plants that I have for this area. And then I'm going to set up the rest of the irrigation. Well, the main line, the main poly line, because that will run along the whole bed. And then depending on where I put the plants is where the emitters will go. But let's first talk about what we're going to put in this bed. Now, caveat here, if you are just joining in, this garden bed, which is right up against our house, up until about 2 weeks ago, had camellias and azaleas in it, and they were huge. They were big, they were beautiful, but hard to tend to because we have very high alkaline soil and those are acid-loving plants. But I still did it because they still produced for me. However, we have new fire code that says we cannot have any plantings within 5 feet of the house unless they are approved plantings and are 1.5 feet or less in stature. So, and no grasses. No grasses allowed. So, it makes planting this area a little tough because everything's going to be short. And normally, if I'm putting an area together, I mean, part of the thing behind design is that you want different heights, different textures, different colors. Like it just makes the space feel more rich, right? So I'm struggling with this a bit because, you know, I like what I've got, but it's going to be challenging because, first of all, the height between the ground and the windows is big, right? Then before, that was all covered, this wall was all covered by azaleas and camellias, so it didn't look so ridiculous. So that's the first problem. And when these plants go in, I mean, it'll be nice, but they're all short, and they're all going to stay short because that's the rules. And so it's just not going to... I don't know, it's not going to be my favorite because it's not going to really speak to the ethics of design. Yesterday, Mike was able to dig out the root balls from the big, well, he's still working on this one. This was a Japanese maple, a huge one. He's doing the best he can. I don't think it's going to come back because he's taking away almost every side root, but he did get the other one out. We've got all of this soil we can redistribute, which is nice. But like I said, it's just going to look, while I'm excited about planting and it would be nice to have something in here, it's just not going to feel complete to me because it's not going to have, like I said, all the different heights, all the different textures, all that kind of stuff. You know, I really wanted something for this giant corner over here before there was a giant tree. We can't put a tree there. We can't technically put anything that's higher than 1.5 to 2 feet. So again, this area is going to feel kind of strange, but I don't know. We'll do what we can do. I understand the reasoning for it, for fire safety. I do get it. So I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying it makes it a lot harder to design because I can't do the normal things. I am going to break a little bit of a rule here though. So I have 2 jade plants. This one here in this pot and this one here. These started as single stem cuttings that Mike and I took when we left DC in 2005 to move out here to the Bay Area. And, you know, they're these huge plants and they've been in these pots like for almost a decade. There's hardly any soil left in those pots and I just want to put them in the ground. So I am going to put them in this bed. They will do fine. This gets a lot of afternoon sun and they've been sitting, there's been one of them right there and one of them over there for 7 years. So I'm not worried at all about them adapting to having more space in the soil. These are obviously taller than 2 feet, but they are succulents. And I think, I don't really think anybody's going to give me a hassle on that. They hold a lot of water and they are extremely drought tolerant. So I don't think that, I mean, these are like the most fireproof plants that you can plant are succulents. So I think it's going to be fine. So let me go over with you what we've got. And I still haven't kind of decided on spacing yet, or exactly where I'm going to put things. I like the idea of drifts, but I don't know. I'm just still trying to make some decisions. So that's why after I show you the plants, I'm going to take a break and do the irrigation, because that's kind of a no thinking thing. And then I can come back to the puzzle of where to put these plants. I love having a blank space, but sometimes it can be challenging, like I said, when you don't have all the parts that you want. So we'll do our best. Okay, so the first set of plants I have are hellebores. These are the winter ballet variety, and I will try to put a photo up there so you can see the flowers. These guys are evergreen. They are part shade to shade. They get 20 feet high by 20 feet wide, kind of at their max. They're zone 4 through 8. And of course you can see they have these beautiful dark green leaves. And then the flowers are a light pink on the inside and a dark pink on the outside. And you know, hellebore flowers face down sometimes, a lot of times, until they open up a little bit. And so you get to see both of those colors. They're really beautiful. Now I got these, it was a clearance sale through Farmer Bailey, and so I got them for 30% off. So it was a really good deal because hellebores are expensive. These guys are very small. They will put on maybe 1 or 2 flowers this coming winter, but they're small. So I can put them anywhere in this bed because the amount of sun that it does get is very low. It's under 4 hours. So that's technically still considered part shade to shade. One thing that I really wanted to be careful of when I was making plant selections is I wanted to get as many evergreen plants as possible in here, because I don't want it to be a barren landscape in the wintertime if everything is herbaceous and drops all of its leaves. So those are the hellebores. Okay, next we have this heuchera, which is called Changeling. I love this. The colors, there's multicolors in here. You've got green and like a mahogany and an orangish color. It's really pretty. And then the flower stalks are nice too. This one is an evergreen. All of our heucheras here are evergreen, which is awesome. It's a zone 4 through 9. It wants full sun to half shade. These guys are great. They do really, really well for us here. They're very drought tolerant as well. And then, you know, it has these pretty white flowers from late spring through summer. And I actually like to cut those for bouquets. They're really pretty. The bigger the plant gets, the more flower spikes it sends up. So I am very excited about that one. Speaking of size, 16 by 16, and I've got 3 of these guys. Okay, the next heuchera we have is called Paprika. That's so pretty. So one of the reasons I went with these red colors is that it will kind of tie in with the pink, hot pink and pink hellebores. I do want some, you know, cohesive color look throughout this bed, especially when a lot of the greenery has died back. So this guy is also evergreen, part sun to deep shade. It also has white flower stems. This one doesn't have any flowers on it yet, but it may have already flowered for this season. It is the zone 4 through 9, and this one is a little bit different. This one is smaller, 8 inches by 12-inch spread. Okay, now next is Virginia. This is the heart-leafed variety. I have 3 of these. These are evergreen, full to partial shade. They have really showy magenta flowers in the mid-spring. They are a zone 3 through 9, and they get a foot tall by 2 feet wide. So the nice thing is they're evergreen, and that's great because I do have some hostas that I'm putting in here, and they, of course, will lose all of their leaves. So this will be nice to have some really fresh looking greenery over the winter. Okay, and then we have this gorgeous fern. This is the Brilliance Autumn Fern. Oh, I love this guy. So this one is what they call part evergreen, so it will lose some of its leaves, but for the most part, I've noticed in our area, since we're in the higher end of its zone, this is a zone 4 through 9, it tends to retain almost all of its leaves, but then it will get new ones as well. So this one, partial sun to full shade, 18 to 24 inches high by 18 inches wide, and supposedly deer and rabbit resistant, but I don't buy that when they say that for anything. Deer and rabbits will eat anything if they're hungry enough. Okay, the next one, which I really like this. I love variegation in a dark place, like in shady gardens. I love variegation because it really pops. It helps things stand out. So this is Hemizygia. The variety is Candy Kisses, and it's got these little purple flowers on it. It's also known as wild sage. So this one's evergreen as well, which again, big seller for me. Full sun to partial shade. It blooms from midwinter to fall. So it will continue to put on these really pretty purple spiked flowers. It gets 18 by 18. This is a zone 9. So if you're in a colder zone, it's going to be an annual for you. Okay, and then we have two different hostas here. This one here is Patriot. I got 3 of those. It's obviously hostas lose their leaves in the winter, so there'll be nothing here wherever I plant them, except for in the summer. This has purple flowers, full to partial shade, zones 4 through 8, and it gets 12 to 20 inches high by 30 inches wide. Now, yes, I am in zone 9, 9B actually, but as long as we keep hostas in a lot of shade, they do just fine for us here, even though we are a zone above. So you can fudge with some of the zone requirements as long as you can provide the plant with what it needs. And so, for instance, I shouldn't be able to grow peonies here at all because I'm in zone 9B, but my house is a little microclimate where we are, the garden itself even is in a low spot in the surrounding area, and we have plenty of nights in the winter in the 20s, and that's kind of what the peonies need. So I can grow peonies, whereas my friends just up the road cannot. It's just the way microclimates work. Okay, the next hosta is this one. It is called Fire and Ice. I love the curly Q nature of these leaves, and again, I love the variegation. This one blooms in the summer as well, blue flowers, zone 4 through 8, and this one is 14 to 16 inches tall by 12 to 24 inches wide, so it will get some nice width on it. Okay, next we're Next we are moving to Pulmonaria, also known as lungwort. It's looking kind of rough because I got these off of a discount rack, but they'll be fine. So this one is called Trevi Fountain, as in the Trevi Fountain in Italy. It has blue flowers. It's pretty much done for the year here, but that's okay. I think the speckled nature of Pulmonaria, the leaves, is really cool, especially again in a shade garden where you want those pops of color. So it is a zone 4 through 8, and it's really this one and the next one here, Lamium, are really good pairings for hostas and ferns as understory plants. This one gets 1 foot tall by 2 feet wide, and supposedly it's deer and rabbit resistant, but I don't believe that. And then this one is Lamium. It is White Nancy, evergreen, so it will keep its leaves. The Trevi Fountain lungwort will lose its leaves, but like I said, I just want to make sure I don't put all the hostas and all the stuff that will lose their leaves close together, because I want to make sure the evergreen part of this is spread out. These are zones 3 through 8, deer and rabbit resistance, low water. These stay very low, 4 to 6 feet tall by 15 to 18 inches wide. They are a wonderful ground cover, and I have a lot more coming. Again, there was a last chance perennial sale through Farmer Bailey, and so I have 32 bigger size Lamium coming. Not bigger than these, but bigger than your normal seedlings or plugs. So I'll be able to really pop them out throughout this garden. Okay, so that is what I've got planned to go in here so far. There will still be lots and lots of room. We are going to have it's called Mexican Beach Pebble as our stones mulch, which is light in color. So that will help too, because it's just so dark over here. I still am on the hunt for something where I can kind of try to sneak some height into that corner by the garage without breaking the rules. So I spent a long time online searching yesterday, and I just haven't come up with anything yet. So if you have suggestions, I'm all ears. We have high alkaline soil, zone 9B. That area will be pretty much deep shade. So there's some limitations on what will grow there that we are allowed to grow. So, all right, I'm going to get this irrigation laid out. Now, I yesterday finished putting that all together. So now I just have to attach this poly pipe mainline tubing to that, which shouldn't be a problem. I have some connectors here. This one should work. If for some reason it doesn't, I've got this one that has bigger on this end and smaller on this end. And then I'm just going to run this all out through the length of the bed. I think I'm not going to have enough, but we'll see. I have a elbow here to make a corner, and then we'll just cinch it when it gets to the end. It's probably okay if I don't run it all the way out because Mike needs space in there to still dig and continue to work. So I'm going to go ahead and get this laid out, and once I do that, then I'm going to dump, I just have a bag of potting soil here, like raised bed mix. I'm going to dump that and just kind of rake it out just to add a little bit of extra soil on top, and then start laying out plants, figuring out what makes sense. Okay, I think I'm happy with this layout. So first of all, the jade plants, I had to be very careful. We have a bathroom right here and right here. We have two sewer cleanouts, one right there and one down here, and there are pipes that run through this bed. So it was hard to find a place where I could dig and put those jade plants because they did have big root balls. Now the rest of these, it should be pretty easy, and I can move things right or left, but I think I'm avoiding the sewer line. The other thing is these sewer lines used to be covered by plants. So that's going to be harder now. What we are thinking of doing is getting some decorative pots to put over the top of them, to then put a similar pot up top, looking kind of like fountain-like, but maybe a spiller in the top of that, in that top pot, so that we can cover up the sewer caps, and we'll do 3 of them. So even though there's only two cleanouts here, we'll put another one down there, and then it will be just another feature that will add some height, and it's not permanent. So if they want us to take it down, we can, but that will at least cover the sewer cleanouts, because very unattractive. So I think the way I've got things laid out is going to work. I'm really concentrating hard on not, so I'm clustering some things because I like the look of that. I don't want everything spaced apart, but I also want to have plenty of evergreen. And in this area right here, the only thing that's not evergreen is the 3, I think they're fire and ice hostas. So those will go away in the winter time. It'll just be stones there, but as this hellebore gets bigger, that will kind of fill in some of the space. And in the front here, there will be more lamium as they come in next week. So, and those are evergreen as well. they're going to be like the border plant, the front of the border plant. So then we've got ferns back here that are going to get roughly 2 by 2. And I've potted the hellebores in throughout. I will get some more lungwort. That just happens to be all they had. These Beringia will get 2 by 2. They will take over a bigger space here, which will be nice. And then the hellebores are evergreen. So the lungwort are not, but everything else in here is. And so I think it won't look too barren. That was my main goal, is to make sure things don't look super barren. Now, there's a bit of a hole here, and I think I'll just get maybe another hosta, because all of this is evergreen. So, you know, it's fine. We've got space. I can work with it, but I did want to give everything lots of space because all of this stuff will grow. So yeah, we've got hellebores spaced throughout. And again, this area here, the hostas will die back in the winter, but the hellebores and the euchera will not, and neither will the lamium that will be lining the front here. Now, this is all the plants I have currently. I did not save anything for this area because we're not even close to being finished with this. We've got to get that other root ball out. We have to level the ground. We have to figure out what we want to do with these 2 gorgeous mossy rocks. As we're thinking those mossy rocks will look kind of strange on River Pebble. I don't know. We'll see. We can always move them over here, but I still haven't decided what to do with this corner here. But all I have to do is repeat a lot of the same plants over here, except I still want to do something in that corner that has a little bit of height. Maybe we can duplicate the pot thing, and I can get something big spillage factor like California fuchsia that I have in these pots up here. This is an idea. So these are fuchsia, and this is their first full year. I think I put them in like November or something like that. No, maybe it was January. I think it was January. Yeah, because it was after I took the holiday stuff out. They're a beautiful plant, very low maintenance. And of course, once they bloom, then their flowers are kind of spillers. So I think I like that idea. I think that's going to be my goal. We'll have 3 down this row and maybe 2 on the other side of the, you know, upturned tall pots with the matching pot on top that will be a planter that I can then put whatever I want in. I can change out annuals, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that's the way to go. It will provide some height. It will allow me to add things to the garden when I want to. Seasonally, I can decorate them for the holidays. Like, yeah, I think that's the way to go. I can already envision, I think, the pots that I want. They're very expensive though. So we'll have to wait for a sale. But all right, so now that I have the layout here, I'm going to go get a drink really quick, and then I'm going to come back and plant all of these guys. I have a little bit of starter fertilizer I'm going to put in the holes, and then I'm just going to get them in the ground. And I actually think that looks good. I mean, it looks pretty full, even though they are not all to their full height or anything like that. It looks good. Now, the only potential sticking point here is that we do have deer, and they do sometimes come up the walk. In fact, one year, many years ago, I had a hydrangea in this pot over here. It was beautiful, had all those blooms on it. I loved it, even though it was in the shade. And I woke up one morning and all the flowers were gone. Clearly had been eaten, and I was like, So we have a doorbell, a ring thing, and I looked on the camera, and it was so funny. You could see in the camera that it was in the middle of the night. This deer comes up, she's looking around, like, and then she sees the flowers and just chop each flower. I was like, oh man. So it doesn't happen very often because there's other stuff for them to eat right now in our creek beds and stuff. And so far the hostas that are in the landscape over here are still there. So, but there is a possibility that they'll come and completely devour these hostas. So yeah, I mean, I know that. I know that going in. But it's a risk I'm willing to take. So for the rest of them, I think they'll probably leave them alone because we have some of these plants repeated in other places where the deer have access and they haven't bothered them at all. So yeah, we'll see, especially not the hellebores. They don't eat hellebores. Okay, I'm gonna get my drink and then get back and try to get these all in the ground. Then I'll clean off the sidewalk. I wish that I would be able to put the stones down, the stone mulch down, but that's not gonna happen until probably more than a week from now, because next Friday, well, next Thursday, we have family arriving in town because next Friday, Aiden graduates high school. And so we're going to have family in town. And I have no time this coming week. They can't even deliver until, I think they said next Friday. And then there's no point in them delivering next Friday and having a two tons of stone sitting on the driveway when we need driveway space for parking. So it'll be a while. But at least this will be in, it'll look nice, even though it's bare dirt. And so when people come over for the barbecue tomorrow, it won't be a complete disaster and I'll feel much better about it. So, all right, I'm gonna go get a drink and then I'm gonna get started planting. Okay, my camera memory card is all full, so I had to switch to my phone just to close out this video. So everything got planted. There were so many roots. So there's roots still from the azaleas and the camellias, and there's roots from these redwood trees. It is really tough digging in places. And there's also still some wood chips in there from like a couple years ago when we mulched, and I'm a little concerned about that. But I think there's enough soil around the plants that they'll be okay. But I mean, they look good. I did not run irrigation to each plant today. I don't have time to do that because I've got to clean the house because we're having company tomorrow. So I watered everything in, and I will rig up irrigation next day or the day, not tomorrow. I don't know, Monday maybe. I don't know when. I have so much other stuff to do. But I think I'm happy with this, although it'll look way better once the rocks get put down, the rock mulch, because the soil is so, I don't know, chunky and just gross, and there's so many roots, and yeah, it's not attractive substrate right now. But I will have lamium to pop in the front row here later this week, or this coming week, and then yeah, we can get the rocks in and the irrigation and stuff, and we'll be set for a while and just watch how things grow. Everything looks really small now, but at least there's something growing in here. And I do like the idea of high pots, or even, I don't know, like big bird baths that I can convert to planters or something like that, that will cover up these sewer cleanouts, but also act as height in this bed. Okay guys, that's it for me today. Thanks for hanging out with me the last 2 days. I will be probably not filming tomorrow. It's Sunday, but we are having a barbecue for Memorial Day with a bunch of friends. So we'll be cooking all morning and still having some cleaning to do. So I will see you guys on Monday when we start harvesting for the summer CSA. It's the first week of the CSA. And we also have a wedding to get ready for. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.